Welcome to True Crime Chronicles, where we delve into the chilling tales of the world's most notorious criminals. From cunning masterminds to ruthless gangsters, these figures have left an indelible mark on history through their shocking and often terrifying deeds. Stay tuned as we uncover the stories behind the headlines and explore the dark underbelly of human nature. Join us on this journey into the macabre and the mysterious. This is True Crime Chronicles. The world's most notorious criminals, a glimpse into infamy. Throughout history, some individuals have etched their names into the annals of infamy through heinous acts that have shocked the world. From masterminds of terror to ruthless gangsters, these notorious criminals have left an indelible mark on society. Here's a detailed look at some of the most infamous criminals and their chilling legacies. 1. Charles Manson. Charles Manson, the twisted leader of the Manson family cult, orchestrated a series of brutal murders in the late 1960s. His followers, under his manipulative influence, committed horrific crimes, most notably the murder of actress Sharon Tate and 4 others in 1969. Manson's ideology of an apocalyptic race war, which he dubbed Helter Skelter, fueled these senseless acts of violence. His trial and subsequent life imprisonment captivated the nation, cementing his place as one of history's most notorious criminals. Number 2. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy's charm and intelligence belied a monstrous darkness. This American serial killer confessed to the murders of 30 young women across 7 states between 1974 and 1978, although the true number of his victims may be higher. Bundy's modus operandi included luring women by feigning injury or impersonating authority figures before overpowering them. His escape from custody and subsequent killing spree added to his notoriety, culminating in his execution in 1989. Bundy's chilling ability to appear normal while committing unspeakable acts continues to fascinate and horrify. 3. Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar, the infamous Colombian drug lord, was the mastermind behind the Medellin cartel. At the height of his power in the 1980s and early 1990s, Escobar controlled the majority of the cocaine smuggled into the United States. His empire was built on a foundation of ruthless violence, corruption, and intimidation. Escobar's reign of terror included the assassination of politicians, judges, and journalists, as well as a bombing campaign that targeted civilians. Despite his wealth and power, his violent tactics led to his downfall, and he was killed by Colombian authorities in 1993. Number 4. Al Capone. Al Capone, the quintessential American gangster, rose to infamy during the Prohibition era. Leading the Chicago outfit, Capone's criminal empire encompassed bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution. His involvement in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929, where 7 members of a rival gang were brutally murdered, solidified his reputation as a ruthless mob boss. Despite his notoriety, it was tax evasion that ultimately led to his imprisonment. Capone's larger-than-life persona and criminal exploits have made him a lasting symbol of organized crime in America. Number 5. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler, the dictator of Nazi Germany, is responsible for some of the darkest chapters in human history. His ideology of Aryan supremacy led to the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews, along with millions of others, were systematically exterminated. Hitler's aggressive expansionist policies precipitated World War II, resulting in the deaths of over 70 million people. His regime's atrocities have left an indelible scar on humanity, making Hitler one of the most reviled figures in history. Number 6. Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, the founder of Al-Qaeda, orchestrated the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, which claimed nearly 3,000 lives and altered the course of global history. Bin Laden's extremist ideology fueled a campaign of terror that extended far beyond 9/11, targeting Western interests worldwide. His ability to evade capture for nearly a decade, despite an intense manhunt, added to his notorious legend. In 2011, US Navy SEALs located and killed bin Laden, but his legacy of terror continues to influence global security dynamics. Number 7. Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin's rule over the Soviet Union was marked by widespread terror, repression, and mass murder. His policies, including forced collectivization and the Great Purge, led to the deaths of millions. Stalin's brutal tactics to consolidate power involved the execution and imprisonment of perceived enemies, creating a climate of fear and suspicion. His impact on Soviet society and the world stage during and after World War II remains a potent reminder of the destructive potential of totalitarian regimes. 8. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy, the Killer Clown, was one of America's most prolific serial killers. Convicted of murdering 33 young men and boys in the 1970s, Gacy lured his victims to his home, where he would torture, rape, and eventually kill them. His double life as a respected community member and a serial predator shocked the nation. Gacy's heinous crimes were finally brought to light when investigators discovered the bodies of his victims buried in the crawl space beneath his house. He was executed in 1994, but his crimes continue to haunt public consciousness. 9. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer's gruesome crimes earned him the moniker of the Milwaukee Cannibal. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer murdered and dismembered 17 young men and boys. His horrific acts included necrophilia and cannibalism. Dahmer's ability to evade suspicion for years, despite numerous interactions with police, highlighted significant failings in law enforcement and societal biases. He was eventually apprehended and sentenced to life in prison, where he was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994. Dahmer's macabre legacy endures in popular culture and criminal psychology studies. 10. Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, the infamous criminal couple, became legendary figures during the Great Depression. Their crime spree involved numerous bank robberies, car thefts, and murders. Romanticized by the media, Bonnie and Clyde's rebellious image captivated the public imagination. However, their violent confrontations with law enforcement painted a darker reality. Their reign of crime ended in a hail of bullets during an ambush by police in 1934. The legend of Bonnie and Clyde lives on in folklore and popular culture, symbolizing both the desperation and defiance of their era. 11. Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper remains one of history's most enigmatic and notorious serial killers. Operating in London's Whitechapel district in 1888, the Ripper brutally murdered at least 5 women, all prostitutes. The gruesome nature of the murders, coupled with the killer's ability to elude capture, created a media frenzy and public panic. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories, Jack the Ripper's identity remains unknown. The mystery surrounding his crimes has spawned endless speculation and made him a lasting figure of fear and fascination. 12. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, terrorized California in the mid-1980s with a series of home invasion murders and sexual assaults. His random and brutal attacks left a trail of fear and panic. Ramirez's methods were particularly horrific, often involving torture and satanic rituals. He was finally captured in 1985 after a dramatic chase and was sentenced to death for his crimes. Ramirez's chilling legacy continues to intrigue criminologists and true crime enthusiasts. Number 13. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos, often labeled as America's first female serial killer, was convicted of murdering 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990. Wuornos, who worked as a prostitute, claimed that her killings were in self-defense against violent clients. Her tumultuous life and psychological state drew significant media attention. Wuornos was executed in 2002, and her story has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and films, highlighting the complexities of her character and crimes. 14. Vladimir Putin. While not traditionally categorized as a criminal, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has been accused of numerous human rights violations, political repression, and even assassinations of political opponents. His controversial actions and alleged involvement in various nefarious activities have garnered international condemnation. Putin's tenure has seen the suppression of dissent, the annexation of Crimea, and interference in foreign elections, making him one of the most controversial and scrutinized leaders of the modern era. 15. El Chapo, Joaquin Guzman. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the notorious Mexican drug lord, led the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful drug trafficking organizations in the world. El Chapo's cartel was responsible for smuggling vast quantities of narcotics into the United States and other countries, along with committing countless acts of violence, including murder, kidnapping, and torture. His dramatic prison escapes and eventual extradition to the United States captured global attention. In 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison, but his criminal empire continues to have a significant impact on drug trafficking and violence in Mexico. These criminals, through their heinous acts and the subsequent media coverage, have become infamous figures in history. Their stories serve as stark reminders of the depths of human depravity and the impacts of their crimes on society. While their legacies are dark, understanding their histories is crucial in the ongoing fight against crime and violence. Thank you for watching this episode of True Crime Chronicles. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of crime and punishment.